Hello, and good evening, everybody. We are back. Happy Sunday to everybody. We are here for another episode of Chit Chat Podcast. I am your host, Shan, and I am so excited. It's August, y'all. We are back. It's August. These months are going by so fast. I am so excited, though, because 2025 is almost over. Look, we're almost at our anniversary month in October. Y'all, we're coming up on 3 years of Hi Tequila, my co-host. She's out today, but I miss you, girl. I miss you. Checking in with us. Look, I am so excited about today's episode because y'all, this is a serious topic. And if you haven't been following social media in the last couple of weeks, today's episode is on marriage and infidelity, and we're talking about the when the vow breaks. The seriousness of emotional betrayal and how it happens when in marriages and people who are in marriages and the seriousness of breaking vows. So we had two couples who went viral a couple weeks ago, and it happened right here in the DMV area. I mean, what a coincidence, right? One couple was right in Maryland, and the other couple was in Fairfax, Virginia. And so we're going to dive into the scenarios of both situations, but tragic situation for one, but it's serious business when you talk about, marriages that are dealing with, seriousness of infidelity. And we got to talk about that because when you're talking about breaking vows and having, infidelity in situations and betrayal at the levels of the situations in both of those two situations, at some point you got to make decisions because, it's a life and death situation. And another point, you got to make a decision because it's affecting people's lives. And so we're going to talk about it. It's open discussion today. So I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what you think. I know you guys don't seen it floating around social media or whatever. Y'all, life be lifing. People are dealing with a whole lot of things. We're not being judgmental on people's situations. But it has been on social media. So we're going to open discuss it today. We're not going to mention their names, publicly, but it has been on a public forum. So it's not like we're going to talk about them publicly in as far as their names, but we are going to mention the couples as far as like their situations. But however, their situation is going to be openly discussed today, and it's going to provide us an opportunity to talk about situations and how infidelity and breaking vows in those situations can cause tragic situations. It can cause emotional betrayal, what happens during those situations, what you can do to prevent it, what you can do to walk away from those situations before something tragic can happen. What are some of the telltale signs that you can see before, falling, to situations of such. We got to start looking at some of the red flags. We got to stop painting red flags white, right? Some of us have been fooled for love. I've been one of them before. We've been fooled for love before, and we got to start waking up. And sometimes we got to start telling ourselves when we know better, we got to do better, right? And so, let some of these situations be learning situations, or let somebody else's situation be a learning situation for us. Okay. So we're going to dive right into it. So Jada, pull up our first young couple from Fairfax, Virginia. If you haven't seen the couples that's been floating around on social media, we're going to pull up the couples so you'll be able to see the scenario we're talking about. Here's a young couple, Fairfax, Virginia. This young man woke up on his wedding day after spending the night and the evening with his mistress, his side chick girlfriend, and told his side chick girlfriend, I'm giving you kind of the synopsis of the scenario, told his side chick girlfriend, mistress, that he was going to a dental appointment, and left her that morning. And she thinking he was leaving, going for a dental appointment for the day, and he was actually leaving, going for his wedding. So he left and got married, and left her to go get married to his wife, his fiance, and had a whole wedding. She later saw pictures posted on Facebook and social media from mutual friends of his wedding pictures, as people at the wedding posted pictures congratulating the couple or whatever. So out of hostility and bitterness and anger, she started ousting him on social media based off, her hurt. And so that's how that whole his whole infidelity became viral on the day of his wedding. His mistress was shocked because she said that they had a 6-year relationship and she had no idea that he had a fiance and that he was getting married. So for 6 years, I have no idea how he kept this from her. For 6 years, I have no idea how she was having a relationship with this man and had no idea he had a fiance. I have no idea how this man even done it with both women for 6 years and was capable of doing it, but it happens. So we're going to talk about this situation. So ladies and gentlemen, because I know we have some gentlemen in our group and on our page and in our listening audience. Whew, that's a lot, y'all. I know men find a way. Men find a way. They do. That's a lot. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of lying. That's a lot of scheming. That's a lot of work. And he should have been tired as hell. Not just for trying to get to the wedding and all that kind of stuff. He should have been exhausted that whole damn day for trying to tell her you're going to a dinner appointment. Because, not how you gonna go through that and tell her you and go get married and not thinking, what if she pop up? What if she find out and just pop up or whatever? Like, when I read that, I was like, I can't believe somebody actually did that. And then to know that they was right here, like neighbor city for where I live, like right down the street. I can believe it. I was like, oh my God. And I can't even imagine what the bride thought when she seen that. Like on your wedding day, somebody showing you, like, some girl is posting something about your husband saying she just woke up with your husband this morning, saying that was her boyfriend and this is your husband. Can you even imagine that? But, I don't know. Y'all, let's talk about that because it's a whole lot to digest. But I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. You can be on trips with people and people have stuff going on in the background and have a whole different scenario going on in the background. And people be okay with it. They okay. They see you going somewhere, long as you ain't posting who you with, they okay with that. They know you're on a trip every month, every week with somebody, but as long as they're getting what they getting or whatever, they okay with that. And I'm not sure if that's what but she claims she didn't know he had a fiance. So I'm not sure what the now wife knew. I don't know what she's claiming, but I know that the mistress, side chick, whoever, I don't want to call her side chick because she might have thought in her eyes, she thought she was the main chick. So I'll just say mistress for this point because now there's a wife. She said that she didn't know that there was a now wife, that she didn't know about that person. So so I'm not sure what the wife's story is. If she knew if there was another person, did she suspect there was another person or whatever? Because sometimes there's always some signs of if something going on, if they doing something, they sneaking around or whatever. Because look, if something about women, if we got an inkling of anything, one thing about women, we are phonologists. We gonna find out. So if we think you doing something, we gonna find out. So I'm just not sure if the wife didn't know something was going on. Jay said her chakra must was off or something, baby. I don't know. Or she just didn't care. If she knew that she was getting that title or the ring or something, it didn't bother her or something. I'm not sure. Tequila said, I think it happens for so long because accountability standards are relaxed in some relationships. I think so too, Tequila. I think that, some people um, I think some people don't, yeah, you're right. Accountability standards are so relaxed. People don't care. I think what if it doesn't stop them from getting what they're getting, whatever benefits or entitlements they're getting out of the relationship, if it doesn't prevent that, they're not making a fuss about it. Too relaxed. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. So what do you guys think the current wife, what do you think her do you think that she had any inclination that he was doing something on the side? Because apparently she was the main girl. You talking about 6 years. So apparently he was dealing with both girls at the same time. So you talking about 6 years. That's a very long time. That's a very long time. And you talking about moments of intimacy. We got to talk about, you know, ugh, this bothers me on so many levels. It really bothers me on so many levels because you're talking about moments of intimacy. And I think when you talk about moments of intimacy, standard levels is like, I think it's important to set standards that you can hold each other to in the very beginning. Absolutely. Absolutely. Someone knew. Exactly. Someone had to know. Someone had to know. Someone had to know. I'm sorry. Someone had to know. So you can't tell me nobody didn't know. Because every time I even suspected, I questioned. I questioned him first. When I didn't get the answer that I like, I questioned the people. So yeah. So yeah. So yeah. I'm not. I don't. I don't. I'm not understanding. Like 6 years and you not know, boo. Like, yeah, that's like, I'm just thinking like, what was going on? What was going on with you? So what you think? And then she said, and then I'm not sure. Was that a? I'm not sure. Did they get married on a Friday or a Saturday or something? Because he went to a dinner. Well, I know you can go to dental appointments on weekends now, but but and then he had the audacity to stay the night with the mistress before he got married. Oh boy, the night before you got married. The night before. And look, by any means, this ain't no male bashing thing, but this situation, the night before, and then you gonna have the audacity to show up at the altar and kiss me as my husband. And look, soon as that thing went viral and I find out what she done wrote and put out there. Look, it gonna take everybody on that wedding list to pull me up off of you. Cause this thing don't went viral. It don't went national. It gonna take everything. You don't sit here and humiliate. It gonna take everybody on that wedding list. Mm-hmm. It sure is. That's how we gonna do it. Cause that's ridiculous. The night before. The night before. Then you gonna show up at that wedding. Like ain't nothing happened. Like you ain't did nothing. And that's so cold and calculated. That's the thing and that's that hurt. So we got a question. Is it possible the wife knowingly overlooked the affair to secure the ring and lifestyle? Is that survival or delusion? So what you guys think? Do y'all think, is it possible the wife knowingly overlooked the affair of the side chick or the mistress to secure the ring and the lifestyle? Do you think that's survival mode, or do you think that's delusional? You think she kind of knew something was going on the side and she overlooked it because she was trying to secure that ring and that lifestyle? And some people do that. They don't care. Some people do that because they're trying to win at all costs. It's like, oh no, I ain't gonna let her get it. Or I ain't gonna let her, anybody but her. So it's a secure the ring and a lifestyle kind of thing for, anybody but her kind of thing. And so they can say, oh, I got it, or I'm the one that's the Mrs. or whatever. So yeah, I think sometimes it's a secure the ring and the lifestyle kind of thing, and the happiness and all the other kind of stuff ain't even there. So it's damn sure is delusional. James said his last hoorah. I know somebody don't beat his ass, I'm sure. I'm sure somebody, look, if she got a brother, some cousins, or something. Because I'm look, my mom had 5 girls. My aunt Jean had 5 boys. My cousin James, that was on the men mental health segment we had, he's one of the 5 boys that my aunt Jean had. So my mom had 5 girls and she had 5 boys. But my cousins, I got a lot of boy cousins they always been very protective of me. So look, they don't play when it comes to me. About me, when it comes to me, they was always like that in school, when it comes to me or whatever. So don't F around and find out. You look, do something like that. Look, my boy cousins and them, it's like playground boogie. They be ready. They will be ready. Look, we ain't playing no games. But yeah, is it possible that the wife knowingly overlooked the affair to secure the ring and lifestyle? Is that survival or delusion? That's crazy. I hate that happened. I hate that happened because you can't tell me for 6 years that neither one of those women knew about each other or didn't know anything. Come on now. Between trips and intimate details that couples have, and trips and things that they do or whatever. So the mistress didn't know he was doing stuff. And what you talking about holidays? So where was he doing holidays? Like, oh my goodness. Did her dirty. Exactly. Straight dirty. That was dirty. Delusional. You say it's delusional, Tequila? It's delusional? Yes, because there's no way. There's no way you're creating a lifestyle. Your marriage is already starting out wrong. I mean, you building your marriage on what? The security of what? I beat you. I beat you to the altar. There's no foundation there. Damn sure ain't no love. That stuff built on doggone sinking sand. I feel like the wife knew, but she settled because she's getting a ring. Yeah, she feel like she's getting a ring in a lifestyle. Baby, I give it 2 years, if that. They trying to show face now because it don't went national. She honestly, she probably felt like after the marriage, she's gonna stop. Well, Well, he might now because he don't got famous. He might stop now because he don't got famous. He don't became famous now, so he could stop now because nothing really. Sometimes it takes things like this to happen, and sadly, so things like this to happen for people to get their wake up call, um, or for people to be humiliated or whatever, for them to really get to the point where they realize what they about to lose or what they're losing um, is not worth it, or whatever the case may be. So you know, and when they see what I'm losing or what I'm about to lose, whatever is not worth it, or you know, hey, or if something worth fighting for, then I need to fight for it. Then they need to make those decisions. But my whole thing is, if you know that you're not ready to get married, and you're living a double life, and you're living a lifestyle outside, why get married? Why commit to somebody? Why give false pretenses as if you're ready for that commitment, as if you're ready to provide that lifestyle of a covenant with somebody when you're doing something with somebody else? When that's false pretenses. Like you're a wolf in sheep clothing. You're telling somebody one thing and you're being something else. I hate when people do that. Like, don't give false pretense. Just go live a single life. If that's the lifestyle you want to be, just go live a single life. Don't create this life with somebody and you out here doing something else with somebody else, or behind the scenes doing something else with somebody else. And then people act like, you know, diseases and stuff like this is is not out there. They're like you can just go out there and do whatever. like you can you can't catch nothing. They out here just living freely, laying down, with dogs and fleas and scatterwags and chicken heads and everything else, and thinking you can just come back and be with other people. No. Mm-mm. No, we're not doing that. Tequila said, I was taught that in the dating phase, if his availability is awkward or closed for weekends, there's another woman in the picture. Absolutely. Look, people make time for what they want to make time for. And, people would, they'll show you what they rather do. Let them see what their availability is. Let them show you what their availability. They'll show you what they rather do. You ain't got to run behind them. You ain't got to bet for no time. None of that kind of stuff. And ladies, don't be one of those pick me women that make yourselves available and make yourselves, always, pick me. I'm available. Being whatever they want you to be and how they want you to be it. Because as soon as you do that or whatever, they'll never pick you. They'll never pick you. They'll deal with you when they want to deal with you and come back and deal with you when they want to deal with you. You'll be a placeholder. You'll always be a placeholder. Don't do that. Mm-mm. Because it'll never be a commitment thing for you. Weekends and holidays. Tequila, yeah. Weekends and holidays. They'll always find excuses. Always find excuses. All right, Jada, give us another question. Is it possible for someone to live a double life without either party knowing, or are there signs always there? Ooh, that's kind of tricky. You got to know the person, because some people are real good at living these double lives. So, but it's just depend on how well you know the person and how long you've been with that person. But I would say there's signs there. Sometimes we're blinded. Sometimes we get so blinded by that love bug. I'm telling y'all, we'll get so blinded by that love bug because after the fact, you'll see the stuff and you be like, oh, it was always there. I just missed it or whatever. And you do miss it. You miss it because you be so blinded. You be so blinded by love. You be blinded by them lies. Oh, Takia said, don't be his yo-yo. I'm telling you, don't be no yo-yo. Yeah. So is it possible? So answer this question, guys. Is it possible for someone to live a double life without either party knowing? Or are there signs? Or do you think the signs are always there? Tequila says signs are there, but to recognize them depends on how much attention you pay. Yeah, exactly. That's what I think. Yeah, because sometimes yeah. But some people, I'm telling you, some people are good at that. Look, some people talk. Some of them people are like car salesmen. They can talk that talk. Hey, Peaches. They do it all the time. It's easy for the men when the women are in different states. Girl, Peaches. Yes. Girl. Don't talk about them different states. Girl, they have them in different area codes. Oh, and since we're talking about different states, let's talk about that. They'll have them in different states and have two different phones. So they'll have them call on, since you're in one state, they'll have a phone for you to call on in with the area code for your state. And then the person in another state, they'll have a phone number or phone for them to call for that state. Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's funny. Oh, yeah. I don't know how people have the time to do it. Look, I'm not gonna put that much energy in it. I don't even have time to have a roster. My daughter always be telling Mom, you need to get you a roster. Look, I have the attention for a roster, but I don't have the time, baby. I ain't got time. Look, I ain't got time to play no games or whatever. Look, I ain't even playing the radio with one person. So you know damn well I'm not playing the radio with 4 or 5. So I ain't got time for no radio roster. Nope. So yeah, nah. I'll let y'all do the roster thing. I ain't got time to be rotating the people. I don't even have the energy. This conversation is triggering. Oh, I know, Peaches. I told Jade, I said, I'm gonna have to try to maintain. Look, Peaches, just woo-saw. I encourage 2 to 3 just to see. Jade said, I encourage 2 to 3 just to see. Back in the day, I was ready to poo-poo. I'm too old for that. I'm too old for that now. Girl, look, BFF, you already know. The old Shan is gone. They have gotten a new and totally different Shan. And so they don't ever want me to ever go back to the old Shan. They better get this new saved in Jesus God girl Shan. Because I'm trying to tell you. And I have people got the old Shan? No. The before Christ Shan. Oh, Jesus. But you know what? Sometimes but you know what? When I was the before Christ Shan, I ain't have to deal with all the nonsense. I really didn't. I deal with all the nonsense now, but I ain't deal with all the nonsense when I had that before Christ Shan attitude. I ain't deal with the nonsense. Didn't have to. Libra said, trying to remember all the info each guy give, can't do it. I know. It's too much. Girl, be mixed. Look, I tried that on the dating site, trying to talk to different people, and called the one guy a different name. I was like, and the guy was like, "What?" He got all upset. Look, dude, I'm sorry, but I thought your name was so and so. Look, he got mad. I'm sorry. Look, this ain't my thing. I apologize. So this ain't my thing. I don't know what to tell you. Have a good day. Bye. Like, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. This just ain't my thing. Shoot. Like, my feelings is not hurt, boo. I'll just meet somebody at the grocery store, at a gas station, or the church or something. Look, because this is not it. All right, Jay, pull up our next question, and then we're gonna go to our next couple. Why do some women settle for the ring or title even when they know their partner is unfaithful? So why do y'all think that? Why do y'all think that some women settle for the ring or title even when they know their partner is unfaithful? Do y'all think is it out of desperation, or they just feel like I need to be married, or I need to have this title of a wifey or whatever? See, I think I'm the opposite. I think I'm the one that's never settling for the ring or the title, because I ain't ever dealing with no unfaithfulness. You know, you gonna get it all the way together, because I'm not redoing stuff over and over again. I've been married before. I'm not trying to get married 4, 5, 6 times. No, that's not happening. Look, I'm not trying to do that. So They say they don't want to be alone. Right. Look, I'd rather be alone than being miserable, dealing with, all looking stupid because, other people looking at me because they know about me and I don't know about them. Y'all can have it. Look, y'all deal with the headaches. Y'all deal with all that other stuff that be going on that y'all didn't know what's going on. Y'all deal with behind the scenes, all that craziness. But even with them, they are alone, and they are alone, and they don't even know it. Oh yeah, absolutely. They crave for that and think it's something they want, and when they get it, and it's not what it's all hyped up to be, because it's not. It doesn't provide substance. There's no substance attached to it. All it is a title. All it is a status, but there's no substance provided with that. And that's my thing. I don't want nothing that don't provide foundation and substance. Because at the end of the day, when you take away that title, you take away the material things or whatever, what can you provide? What do you have to offer? Because when the rubber hits the road, when it hits the fan, I need to know what we gonna do. And when stuff like this happen, when the vows break, when infidelity happens, I need to know how we gonna work through this or whatever. So, that's the kind of stuff that you need to make sure you're with the right person to deal with stuff. Because sometimes, you get with the wrong person, you don't marry for the wrong reasons. You'll find out real quick when it hits the fan and the rubber hits the road, and you'll be like, I don't marry the wrong person, because look, they can't pray, they can't help me through nothing, we can't get through nothing or whatever, because all they were worried about was the money and the status and all this kind of stuff. You got to be with somebody that's gonna be solid. All right, Jada, let's go to our second couple. Look, I want to do this one last, because this one is kind of heavy. This is a heavy thing right here. So our second couple is a Maryland couple, and this couple had an infidelity in their marriage. The wife found a extra phone that her husband had, and found the extramarital affair that was happening in their marriage through the second phone of her husband, and found photos and text messages through that phone. And with that, she asked her husband to move out of the house. And during that time that he was, packing up, leaving the house, argument escalated or whatever. And she grabbed a gun and shot him in the head and killed him. So, so it ended tragically. So, so prayers to both families. They had a daughter. They lived in Maryland. So, tragic end to a story. Wish it could have ended, so much better because, could have had an opportunity to work things out or walked away or whatever, because, anger could, cause a situation like this to happen. And we don't know what was said to have caused her to get anger enough to shoot him and kill him. So we don't want to judge. We don't want to judge because we don't know what was said. We don't know what transpired. So we can't judge the situation or anything like that. But at the same time, we send prayers to their families and, just another sad situation that infidelity has tragically taken the life of a family, but also a marriage that could have been worked out had a situation been talked about or a situation been worked out, or someone could have just said, I'm no longer happy, I want to walk away from this marriage, or whatever the case may be. And so why isn't that a choice people are making? That's my whole thought process. If you're no longer happy with me, tell me that. Don't just go behind my back and do things or whatever, because at the end of the day, nobody's holding you hostage in a relationship or in a marriage. So you're free to walk anytime. So why are you choosing to be, why are you choosing to cheat or have infidelity in your marriage? If you can just have a conversation, or if you can give an opportunity to rectify the situation, whatever you're missing or not getting or being provided in your marriage, why are you not given the opportunity for it to be worked out? And so, and those are the things that I feel like, are those opportunities being worked out, talked about, said, or whatever? And if not, then why aren't people just walking away? Instead of why are you just going out there cheating? It's no reason to just go cheat. Just leave. Just leave. Because you're putting people's life in jeopardy. Not only are you putting people's life in jeopardy, I mean, people emotional state cannot take stuff like that. You're talking about people who are emotionally invested with people, for years, or time invested, people, families invested, all this stuff. And people are playing with people's lives like this. And that's like double jeopardy. You sitting up here playing with people's lives, and not only playing with their lives emotionally, you're playing with their lives physically. You talking about health wise. You're out here sleeping with all these different people, and you're bringing that back to your wife. You know how much emotional toll that is? She got to think about that emotionally, how you don't slept with her, how you bring in spiritual demons to her because you don't slept with another person, who now she's attached to that person because that person's spiritual demons is attached to her because she don't know who that person I'm been sleeping with. They don't understand all these things. Men don't understand how they are attaching that, and women as well. Women don't understand that if they're sleeping with different men and then they're attaching themselves to other men and sleeping with other men. It's like, and then you're sleeping unprotected and you're bringing that to your homes or whatever. It's, one, it's disgusting, but two, it's like you don't have that respect. It's no respect there, and it's like and then you want to just stay there. Like, you're right, Tequila. They always say it's cheaper to keep her, so they try to just stay there, or they'll be like, "Oh, we're staying for the kids because we have kids or whatever." But some people don't even have kids, and they just staying for what? Why are you staying? You causing more turmoil. Just leave. Just go. It's an ego trip. You sitting here feeding your ego because you don't want to look. It's a prideful thing. You don't want to look like a failure. because you out here feeding your ego. So we got a question. Can heartbreak trigger criminal level rage? Or is that just an excuse for deeper instability? Ooh, that's a good question. Can heartbreak trigger criminal level rage? Or is that just an excuse for deeper instability? Ooh, they want the best of both worlds. That's true. My mom used to always say they want their cake and eat it too. They always want their cake and eat it. Selfishness. Exactly. Selfishness. Always selfishness. Greed. Greed. I think heartbreak can trigger criminal level rage, but it does not have to. I think at some point you got to have a level of self-control, and you got to know what triggers you, and if you get to that point of knowing that you've been triggered, you got to know when to walk away or when to step away, because if you know where you could possibly know where your breaking point is, you got to let yourself walk away, because if it gets to a point of rage at this level, like, there's no turning back. I mean, to walk, to go grab a weapon. Yeah. Any emotional impact can trigger criminal rage. Exactly. It can. You talking about and someone who just found out that they've been cheated on. So you don't know the amount of, whatever she's thinking at this time. And then at the same time, he's packing up and leaving. And, so all these emotions going on at the same time. And then they're arguing at the same time. So it's, I just can't even imagine. I just wish somebody was there at the time when all this was going on. I just wish somebody would have been there. Seemed like somebody should have just been there. So our next question says, what's the right way to walk away from a marriage when trust is broken, especially when a child is involved? Ooh. Think of yourself first. You got to think of yourself first, because at the end of the day, they weren't thinking about you. You got to think of yourself, because they was not thinking about you. And when you think of yourself first, that's thinking of you and your child. And when you walk away, you walk away making a plan for you and your child. That's right, Tequila. Decide what you want out. Decide that you want out and execute. Damn right. You get an execution plan. You strategize exactly what you do. Here's my strategy. That's right, Leah. A child will understand at the end of the day. Yep. And you have to and be honest. And you have to be honest. When I made the decision, I remember when I made the decision years ago, my baby was 3 months old. Jada was 4. So AJ was 3 months old. But when he got older, he always wanted to understand why his daddy wasn't there when he was growing up. And so and we were still married, but he just wasn't there. And so and that always bothered him. And so when his daddy had to finally have that conversation with him and be honest with him about it, it made my baby very upset, because my baby was at the age where he could understand what his daddy was telling him. And he was upset because he said, you made a choice. He told him, you made a choice. That means you made a choice to leave. So he was even more upset with his dad because he said, you could have made a choice to stay with me, Mama, and Jada. You made a choice to leave. So he was so much more upset with his dad because of that when his dad explained. So, you know, these kids, look, these kids understand. They will understand when you have to make the decision for yourself and what's best for you and your kids or whatever. Do what's best for them. Libra said, hearing all this damage them more. Yes, it will. And keeping them there, keeping a child in a home that's damaged and seeing that there's no genuine love there, and parents are they're just there for the sake of it or whatever. Kids see that too. They know that, you know, if their parents ain't in love or their parents don't love each other, or they know that, you know, daddy out there got a secret girlfriend in the streets and they just there taking care of the household and taking care of home and, you know, that kind of thing. You know, a lot of kids know when their daddy just stayed there to make sure the house is taken care of. So, you know, and stayed there till the kids, you know, graduated or whatever the case may be. So, you know, I don't want my kids to see that. I need my kids to see genuine love. I need my kids to grow up in a house where there's love. And if there's not no genuine love there, let me be the one that gives them the love then. We ain't finna fake it. We ain't finna fake it. We ain't finna sit here and play. No, sir. Not happening. We ain't playing house up in here. Keela said, refuse to subject your child to something you don't even want for yourself. Exactly. I mean, why? And then what is that teaching your child? What is that teaching your child? To accept that behavior, to accept that for themselves later in life? If you don't want a relationship that lacks trust, then you don't subject your child to an environment where they'll learn to function in a household where trust is lacking, because they'll learn from you. Exactly. They'll end up accepting that kind of behavior from a man or from a woman or whatever and thinking that's acceptable. That's what love looks like for me, because that's what I seen growing up. Nah. Yeah. That's why even when I was dating, or, you know, I wanted to show my kids healthy relationships. So my kids never got to see people I was dating because if it wasn't nothing strong or nothing I seen leading to something, they never seen them. So, I mean, my kids can count, you know, on one hand how many people they don't see me date their whole entire life, because I was serious about that. If it's nobody serious in my life, my kids did not get to see them or spend time around people like that. I did not bring them around my kids like that. I wasn't playing about that. No, any and everybody was not being around my kids like that. When people weren't coming to my house like that, I did not let men stay the night at my house. None of that stuff. So it wasn't that kind of house for me. You wasn't going to just come over here and lay up in my house. That wasn't happening. So, you know, that's the kind of household I wanted to have. So Jada wasn't going to be she wasn't going to grow up seeing that, thinking it was going to be okay. So, you know, that's what I wanted to establish. So when Jada come home from college or whatever, she knows she wasn't bringing no boy over to I'm bringing my friend from college thinking he wants to stay the night. No, you know, kind of thing. That's not happening. So, yeah. You got to set the standard. You got to set the standard. So Jada, give us our another question so we can get ready and close out. Love the engagement, guys. Love the engagement. Do you believe that crimes of passion are ever truly spontaneous, or are they rooted in long-term emotional buildup? Ooh. Ooh, do you believe that crimes of passion are ever truly spontaneous, or ever are they rooted in long-term emotional buildup? Oof, I guess that depends. Um, if we're talking about this situation, I think it was spontaneous. But yeah, I'm with you, Tequila. I think it can be both, but I don't know what this relationship or marriage could have endured. I don't know if this could have been a first time of infidelity in this marriage or not, but but it seems like it was the first time based off what I've read. The first time, because everybody was shocked. Oh, first time that a domestic incident happened between the couple, and so everybody was very shocked. Um, everybody seemed to be, this guy seemed to be a very good community guy. He cooked for everybody, just did very, very, very class act guy, in the community, doing things and, just kind of like a, good brother, it seems like. And so, you just never know. So, you know, when them emotions, Libra says, and it messes up their relationship when they get older. They think that's how it's supposed to be. Yeah. And these are our ear hustling kids. Listen to the conversations, and you have right, the ear hustling kids. You have to notice the tensions, and you have to say they learn to mimic the behavior as functioning because it's what they grew up with. Exactly. Yeah. And I don't never want them to think like, I don't ever want them to be like, yeah, when I grew up, my mama used to have such and such. They ain't gonna ever be able to say that to me. Now they gonna probably be like, Don, we never get to do nothing with our mama. Cause our mama was always such and such, such and such. Well, sorry. Sorry. Jada got, should courts consider the emotional state of a person who commits a violent act in response to betrayal, or does that excuse open a dangerous precedent? Ooh, well, it depends. I don't think it excuse it. But if that person is on record being like mentally ill, I think the court would probably use it. But I don't think I still don't think it'll excuse it though. If it should never excuse it if they're doing something that takes a person's life. Guys, look, anytime we're talking about infidelity, especially when we talk about marriage, it's such a sensitive topic. And I know that, a lot of us deal with it. Tequila said they should definitely consider the emotional state. And I think the relationship dynamic should be mitigating factors. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, I mean, you have people who may not be married, but they've been in relationship for years, living in, being in relationships or whatever the case may be. Being, have kids and, parents or whatever the case may be. So there's different situations and determining factors. But yeah, but I think, sometimes people may use emotional state to kind of get away with certain things, and that shouldn't be the case. Because if it's calculated, um, you should not be thinking that I'm gonna use my emotional state, or I'm gonna use whatever, if my therapist said that I have depressive disorder, I'm gonna use that and say that's the reason why I did it, because they push my button and they know that I have a depressive disorder or something. So, oh, hey, Mrs. Sutton, thank you. Good to see you. Well, look, guys, in closing thoughts, I know that, you know, anytime that you talk about infidelity, it's such a sensitive topic, even if you're talking about marriage or relationships, because it's not an easy thing. Anytime that you've been hurt, anytime that betrayal is a factor in in dealing with a relationship, with dealing with when something has happened in a relationship or marriage, it's heartbreaking. And when you're talking about the two incidents when we looked at it, these two different relationships, someone lost their life. But in both incidents, you know, the situations could have been different had these couples had conversations with each other, when they had um, things that were changing in their relationships, whatever have been changing, had they had conversations, um, resources available, therapy, or whatever the case may be. If those things, if they utilize those things and those things wasn't working, they should have had conversations, said, well, these are not working. Then we need to come up with another plan. We need to either walk away and do something different, or set ourselves free, because we can't hold ourselves in a relationship where it no longer serves us. And it's unfortunate that one ends in tragic and the other ends in a whole lot of pain and humiliation, because dishonesty and betrayal is the sinking ship. But there is an opportunity for people to get things right. There's an opportunity for forgiveness to take place. There's an opportunity for people to make things right. And I hope that that young man makes it right with his wife. And I hope that he, or however he see fits. Um, but I hope he makes it right. And I hope that, honestly, he gets the necessary help he needs. Because apparently there's something he's dealing with that he has an opportunity that he feels that he needs to feed a ego or a sense of pride of dealing with um, women that he cannot um, give, one opportunity to be prioritizing his life without dealing with the other. And so, it's an unfortunate situation. And so, it hurts people, and hurt people. And so somewhere down the line, he's hurt somewhere, and it could be some childhood trauma, whatever. People, you never know, but people definitely need to be getting the necessary therapy and shadow work and things that they need to do um, to mitigate some of these situations before they get married, before they dive into relationships, before they commit to something, because marriages are covenants. Covenants are long-term commitments. They're not play games. Um, they're not um, circle yes or no like we used to do back in the day in school. Pass the note around and you circle yes or no, or whatever. Those are not those play game contracts. These are covenant. This is a covenant that you are standing before God or some magistrate court, you know, um, vowing to somebody. Now, once you break that vow, it is up to you and that person to establish and reestablish those vows together and work hard to establish those vows together. So, no judgment here. If those vows have been broken or whatever, work your ass off to make them right. But you need to do that, or whatever the case may be. Now, if you feel like you can't do that or whatever, walk away and don't serve yourself no pain sitting there in misery. Like, for what? People are sitting here, in misery doing what to each other because you trying to win a prize, or you trying to say you won something because you got a title, or whatever. It serves no purpose. There's no foundation. You're on sinking sand. There's no substance there. So at the end of the day, emotional betrayal happens, but where do you stand in trying to make something long term, be long term. Are you in it for the long haul, or are you in it just for a good time? So, see where you stand when it comes to that. Are you in a marriage? Or are you in it? Are you in it for the title or the ring? Or are you in it for, you know, what you can get out of it? Because at the end of the day, everybody has their, they have their own thing. They have their agendas, what they're trying to do when it comes to seeking their marriage, their end goal, end game, I guess, or whatever. But don't do it at the cost of somebody's heartbreak. Don't do it at the cost of somebody's, humility or anything like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you're following social media, you'll see those couples floating around, the stories of those couples floating around on social media. So peep out the story. Jada got it posted in our Facebook group, so you can read the synopsis of the story. I didn't want to go too in depth in it because it's just so sensitive. But you can read it in our social media group if you want to take a look at the stories. I'll also get it posted on our YouTube group as well. But take a look at it. But infidelity in marriage is a sensitive topic. But if you're dealing with something like that and you need some resources and need some therapy or whatever, hit us up. We got some counselors in our group. We'll make sure you get hooked up with somebody so that way they can help you guys. We don't ever want to see nobody sinking and sand when it comes to marriage. Marriage work if you work it. So we don't want to ever see nobody marriage not work. So I'm a big stickler about marriage. I've been married before. I want to be married again, but I'm not going to be married to know any and everything, because that's just how serious I look at marriage. That's how serious I take marriage, in the covenant of marriage or whatever. I posted something on my Facebook, I think last week, and I said, a ring is the smallest handcuff that you would have. So make sure whoever you're going to be handcuffed with to the rest of your life, that's the person you choose wisely. So I'm going to leave that with you guys for your weekly little humor for today. But you guys have a blessed week on purpose. We'll see you guys back next Sunday. Oh, y'all, next Sunday, I might have a surprise for y'all next Sunday. So single moms and single ladies, I'm trying to get, I got to get it confirmed tomorrow. Well, I'm not going to be at work tomorrow. So Tuesday when I get back to work, I'm trying to get it confirmed, but I'm going to probably have this single bachelor mechanic come on next Sunday. But so y'all can ask all the questions about car care, mechanic care, oil change, all this kind of stuff. He came highly recommended. So I got to confirm with him that he'll do it. He's very shy, but y'all gonna love his accent. He's like a American Idris Elba. So y'all gonna love it. Tall and dark and handsome, and he has the Idris Elba accent. And so when I go to work on Tuesday, I will confirm. So if he doesn't get too shy, I'm gonna give him some questions ahead of time to kind of prep him. But so bring y'all questions. Come on and bring y'all questions about car care, like because he's a mechanic. He was prior military, a mechanic in the military, but he loves cars. So all kinds of cars. So he works on cars. So any kind of questions you got, so if y'all having car problems, ladies, tires rotating, anything, ask the questions and come ask. So I'll let you guys know. I'll post in the group and let y'all know if he's confirmed by Wednesday. So I'll let y'all know. But yeah, I'm gonna try to definitely get him on. Yeah, and that's gonna be a good one too. I wish I could look. I'm gonna see if I can get him to send me like a picture of him, so that way I can post it before y'all got to see this picture. I'm gonna try to get a picture of him so I can post it before Sunday or whatever, if he tries to if he confirms or whatever, and then y'all will see what I'm talking about. But yeah, ladies, this is a good one for y'all. I'm your girl. I got y'all. I'm gonna try to catch him with the cowboy boots and the jeans on at work. But anywho, Y'all have a good one. I will see y'all next Sunday, but have a good week, y'all. Talk to you guys later. Bye.